So this video, I'm just gonna take a few minutes to kind of share my thoughts, my methods, and kind of what my brain and what I kind of think through when I am going through the process of choosing curriculum, specifically for curriculum for this coming school year, next year. If you are interested in how I do curriculum, though, I did make a how I choose curriculum video that lays out my process, so I will link that so that you can check that out if you want to see just kind of how I personally go through it and what works best for me. So anyway, my name is Lauren. I am a homeschool mom to 3 girls. This is our 5th year homeschooling. Next year will be year 6. Currently, I have a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, and a 1st grader. If you followed me for a while, you already know this, but if you're new here, my 3rd grader for the first time this year does go to a Christian school. And so, as far as decisions for next year, we don't know what we're going to do for next year. We're literally taking it year by year. Also, we have another one on the way. I have never homeschooled with a newborn before, and so a big reason is that what I'm considering for next year, I have to take into account when we start our homeschool year, we will have a 2-month-old baby that is going to completely, I don't know, our schedule is going to be a lot different and then it looks now. So that is something I'm considering. So first we're going to talk language arts and then we'll get on to math. For my 2nd grader, I will say we kind of made the big switch this year. If you've been following my channel for a while or follow my updates or anything, you know that she did Abeka last year in kindergarten and started the year in 1st grade. I've done Abeka with my other daughters and it's always worked well. It just didn't really work well for her. But so we transferred her over to the Good and the Beautiful language arts and she's loving it. I'm still incorporating the Abeka phonics, but next year I am going to be just continuing her with that because she loves it. Going forward with like 3rd grade and on, I don't know, but I think for next year, that's what we'll stick with because it's been working and she loves it and it's becoming like one of her favorite subjects to do. Instead of complaining about language arts, she is excited and she's ready to go. So that I think is pretty safe to say we'll stick with. Now she I didn't give her a formal spelling or anything like that. She is doing the Abeka readers because I already have them. But for language arts, I want to back up a second. My daughter who goes to school, she does all of her curriculum, all of it across the board as BJU Press, which is traditional. It's a Christian-based program. It's one of the more well-known, well-used. It's been around for a while with homeschoolers, maybe not as long as Abeka or something like that, but it's a well-known traditional style approach, and she has loved it. She loves all her subjects. She does really well, and she feels like she's learning a lot and all that. And so I was able to look inside one of her readers, and it was so pretty. This is, oh, here's her name. I'm going to cover that. But there's a reading A and a reading B for 3rd grade. And so I'll kind of do a flip through so that you can see what it looks like on the inside. But I love the variety of stories. They had some fact fiction. They had just even the illustrations are varied among the different stories. And it tells you in the contents what it is. So there's realistic fiction, poetry, an article, historical fiction, a biography, a drama, mystery. So there is multiple different, and that was just one. There's another one that she's doing this semester. So I looked into their reading program and their books are so good. They look really, really good. They've come a long way since I was in school. And so I have gotten her the readers. They're already on their way. I got them on eBay. They're readers for BJU Press for 2nd grade. So those I think will be interesting. It'll switch it up and kind of make it, I don't know. So that will be her reading, and then her spelling, I'm not sure what route we'll go. I'll probably do a traditional spelling next year, starting with that. We'll see how it goes. If it's too much to do, then I'll probably dial back I'll take it back, but I still want to make sure even in 2nd grade, we're still focusing on phonics and learning to read. And then depending on how well she's doing with that, the spelling, I'm still not sure where we'll go for spelling. Handwriting will be simple. She loves the Good and the Beautiful. All my girls do. They love the Good and the Beautiful handwriting. It's not their favorite subject, but They prefer it because the lessons are short and there's always something to like color or draw at the bottom of the page. And especially for Lola, who loves that, she's very motivated by it. Okay, I'll do my handwriting just so I can draw at the bottom of the page. So that will be easy. We're gonna go full steam ahead with that for her for next year. Larissa, on the other hand, is a different story. So I just did a mid-year review on her and talking about how we weren't going to be changing any of her subjects, or we hadn't changed any subjects this year. Whatever we decided at the beginning of the year, we're going to stick with, and it's been working well. And that still rings true. There's no of her language arts and all of that, her extras, her spelling and vocabulary, those are all sticking till the end of the year, and they're all fine. But there are things that I do want to tweak going into next year. So for handwriting, we again are going with the good and the beautiful handwriting for her. She doesn't love to do cursive. She kind of is not happy that I'm having her do it, but she'll be on level 7, which is their highest level. And so I'm like, just finish. You have one more year, you can do it. And if you want to work ahead and finish it quickly, like with the first half of the year or wherever, by all means go for it. But I do want you to finish it. And so she wasn't the happiest about that, but she is going to go along with it because she still needs that handwriting practice. For spelling, she loves Evan Moore, but she did level 6 this year. And so that's the highest Evan Moore goes. So I don't know what I'll be doing for spelling for her. I might look into the BJU Press spelling. I think that one looks pretty interesting. And then my friend Brittany, she's done 180 days of spelling, and so she's done a few flip throughs, and that one looks really good too. It shows like the etymology of the word, so it breaks it down, like the Latin form of the prefix and the suffix, and so you kind of realize like what the words mean. And every single time Larissa has had an exercise like that, she has always found that interesting. So I think those two are probably at this point on my top priority list, but don't be surprised if when I say my curriculum picks it's something else. But those are just what I'm thinking. She loves traditional spelling. She loves having, to write the spelling list, to do the activities throughout the week, and then on Friday have a spelling test. That is what she prefers, so that is what we'll go with for her, and it works and it's effective. Then we're down to wordly wise. I'm still on the fence if I want to continue that for her for next year. She really likes it, but again, I don't know. We'll see what we do with that one. That one's still, we're sticking a pin in that one. And then next we're down to writing and grammar. She did first, second grade, kind of a mix of Abeka and the Good and the Beautiful. Third grade was strictly Abeka with their writing program. Fourth grade was the Good and the Beautiful language with their writing incorporated. Fifth grade is still the Good and the Beautiful with their language or with their writing incorporated. Sixth grade, we're switching things up. So personally, I again went with Abeka my whole life, and when I got to college, I realized like I was really strong in grammar, but writing I just didn't have that much of a strong foundation in, and I was able to kind of catch up, but I did feel like behind, and I did feel like I had to kind of gain some traction to be a decent writer. Well, it's so abstract too to teach, so I need something that's going to be a little bit more concrete. That is what is really important to me, something that is going to give her a strong writing foundation, so that way when she gets older, she at least has that. Whether she goes to college or not, I don't know, but at least she has that in the back of her head that she knows she can write a really strong and is confident about that. So we are eventually, I think in 7th grade, I kind of just told myself 7th grade, we're probably going to do IEW writing, and I think that is what we'll stick with. But for 6th grade, I want to do something a little bit different. I think we might go with BJU Press for their grammar and their writing. Now, the reason for this is because it alternates. So one chapter will be grammar, the next chapter will be writing, and so on and so forth, back and forth. And what I really love about their writing so far, from what I can tell, I haven't ever used it, they really spell it out and teach it, and are kind of going through the writing process of different, a research paper or a compare and contrast essay, things like that. And so it gives examples of what a student in their age group, a peer, what they wrote, and so what their work should look like. with the other programs, with Abeka, with the good and the beautiful, there wasn't really any of that. So it was kind of like, I guess this is good enough. I don't know. There is a little bit of that with the good and the beautiful, but not as like concrete as I prefer it to be. And so with this, it has like a checklist, and even has like, here, edit this. This person edited their first draft. And so that is what I'm looking for. She's just a reluctant writer. She always has been. She'll be the first to say she doesn't love it. So we need something that's going to be a little bit more holding our hand, a little bit more, doesn't leave it open for interpretation or up to the imagination. It's kind of like, this is what it's going to look like. And it's really just focusing on writing for that chapter. Then you can come back and go to grammar. And then you can come back and go to writing. So we'll do that. I think I'm really pretty sure that we're going to switch it up and go to that for next year. I incorporated Fix It Grammar this year. I want to continue that. I really like it. It's pretty fast and simple. She does a sentence a day. And so I'm thinking for those writing chapters that she's writing, maybe just saying, okay, work on one sentence of Fix It Grammar, one page of Fix It Grammar, and doing it that way. And then for reading, she has done the assigned reading from The Good and the Beautiful. She always reads on her own. She reads a lot on her own, so I'm not worried, like, is she reading enough? But I do want her to have that classic literature in the introduction to that, in just different genres. She really sticks to one genre when it's stuff she's reading on her own. And so the BJU Press literature for 6th grade looks awesome as well. It's going to be kind of the same thing as like just incorporating different aspects of it, fables and historical fiction and biographies and all of that. And there's worksheets to go along with it, comprehension worksheets that you can write down what you've read and kind of not just spit facts back out of the comprehension, but just kind of like analyze it. And so I think we've never really done like a literature program before. We've done the readers and the reading along, and like, again, with The Good and the Beautiful, it will have 1 or 2 questions, and it may say, okay, what do you think about this? But I want something that's going to be definitely like, here's your literature, here's the worksheets for that day. And it also does have a little bit of like grammar review in it as well. And so those are looking good. So I think that is probably what we're going to do for her for next year. Again, there was nothing wrong with any of the other things that we have used. Again, a lot of it we will be using next year, but the grammar and the writing, we're going to go in a different direction. And I know a lot of people have said, well, I've used The Good and the Beautiful all the way through high school, and I've read a lot of those testimonies, and I think that does fine for a lot of people, but just for her in particular, I know she needs something with a little bit more structure to it. And Lexi, just throwing that out there, I really, like I said, I don't know, she has been loving BJU, so if I were to do that, I think she would, if she were to come back home, I think she would agree to doing that this year. She is not like a Good and the Beautiful person. She's like, I don't want to look at pictures, just tell me what to do, give me the information. And Larissa's kind of like that too. She doesn't mind The Good and the Beautiful. She will analyze, like looking at a picture and stuff, but if she had her preference, she's definitely more of like, okay, here's the facts, let's go and be done with it. For Lexi, I probably would just go with BJU because she really is enjoying it and really, really likes it. And again, their literature looks good. Their language arts looks really good as far as grammar, writing grammar. And so that's how probably what I would do with her. We'll see for those. All right. And then lastly, for math, I think I'm going to make actually a designated video on this. I think I'm going to make a designated video when I finally decide what we're going to use. I'm pretty sure what we'll use, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive. So I don't want to like spill all the beans right now. But when I decide, I think I'm going to make a whole just designated video. I will say that we are, I hate to even say this because I mean, if you've been following my channel for a while, and since the beginning, I've talked about how much we love The Good and the Beautiful math, and how that is something that we'll stick with for as long as we can, and all of that. But what I'm realizing is what I want for math, just based on the research I've done, based on what I think makes the most sense as far as teaching math goes. The newer versions of the Good and the Beautiful aren't aligning with what the direction I want to take my girls in for their math. And so it's not that it's a bash against them. I know that there's a lot of people who hated the old versions who love the new versions, and their kids are much happier and they're much happier. And I think that that is awesome if you can find something that works. All of my girls still love it. Like, they love the Good and the Beautiful math. It's all of their favorites. They all have different subjects that they favor more than others. One likes history, one doesn't like history, one likes science, one doesn't like science, one loves art, one's like, oh, I hate art. So but the Good and the Beautiful math, they've all always agreed, hands down, every year is their favorite. So why am I changing? Again, I'm not going to get into too many details now. Just, I have noticed I did all of the old versions, all the old levels of the Good and the Beautiful math, and I ranted and raved about it from kindergarten, first, second, third, even fourth, because that's the highest, I think the highest level they did of the old versions. So we did all 4 versions, some we've done multiple times. The new versions came out last year. So I did a kindergarten, a second grade, and then with this year, Lola is in first grade. So we've done 3 of the levels, almost 3. We're about halfway done with the first grade. Some things you notice right away. So like the beginning of the year, I noticed right away, Abeka was not going to work for Lola. I just noticed right away it wasn't going to. Some things you really don't realize until you've been in it a while, and then you really take a reflective step back and you're like, oh, this is not really working the way I wanted it to, or meeting the goals that we have. And that is what I'm realizing with the math, just because of a lot of the changes that they have made. So that's all I'm going to get into at this point right now. Like I said, I will get into all of that in a different detailed video. So if you are truly interested, you can watch a whole video on that. But if you're just like, well, okay, well, what are you going to use now? Just get to the point, Lauren. I think what we're going to do for Larissa, I don't know. I still don't know any of it. I was thinking about maybe Saxon. I was looking into Math UC, but I know with Math UC, it's like fractions for a whole year and like division and multiplications for one whole year. And so I was talking with Larissa and I was like, I just know her. I'm like, so how would you feel about like if you did a math, but like you just did fractions for the whole year? And she was just like, no. So I don't blame her for that. I get it, because it's very, very, very mastery, and I know it works for so many people, but I just don't think that that would be a good fit for us. So I am wanting something with a little bit more mastery approach, definitely more like conceptual math. So the teaching of the why, giving multiple ways to do it and the why you are doing it. I think we are going to try Math Mammoth with her for next year. I think we'll try it, but I don't know. I don't know if we're going to commit to that or if I'll find something between now and then that might be a better fit. I don't know, but I know we're not going to proceed with her. Same with Lola. So with Larissa, she's like, no, let me finish my 5th grade year with Good and the Beautiful. Like, I'm not going to switch mid-year. It's fine. And so that's fine too. It's not terrible. Like it still is working, but with her, we're going to make the switch next year. Lola, even though she loves the Good and the Beautiful, I think we might switch this year because she's still young enough that she's still building that foundation, that number sense, and really needs those concepts. Really, like, I'm a strong believer in those early years, getting that really strong foundation from the start. And so I actually might switch her mid-year, and if I do, I'll let you know. If not, I'm still going to switch her for next year. And there's a few that I'm looking at too. There's several that I've considered. One was Math with Confidence. There's a lot of YouTubers that have really good videos on that. I know Rachel from 7 and All and Ashley with Joyful Noise. They each have videos on Math with Confidence, and it's fun, interactive, game-based play, but it still builds that number sense and that foundation that I'm looking for. So that one. And then also Apologia Math is the same, is very similar, kind of game-based, colorful, bright. And so those two I'm considering. There's other ones I might look into as well. I've been looking into it for several weeks now. Lola needs something that's fun and interactive. It can't just be something like Saxon where it's black and white. She would look at that and be like, Mom, no. And so with that, I try to make something that I know is going to be suitable for her and that she will love, but also is going to be aligned with what my goals are. And that's really how I look and approach all of the curriculum. I do it with the frame of, these are what my intentions are and this is what I want to accomplish. Now let's find a curriculum that I can teach, and let's find a curriculum that they'll want to go along with. And that, when you get that sweet spot, it's amazing. Sometimes it does take a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of curriculum changing to get there, but when you do, it's totally, totally worth it. So I think she would love, honestly, either one of those, the Math with Confidence or the Apologia, the math. I know she would. She would like either of them. They both look really good. Again, big changes. We have always done Abeka or the Good and the Beautiful, especially for math, the Good and the Beautiful. So to do something different, also, part of me is like, what are you doing? You don't want all new curriculum. You're having a baby and you already are familiar with this. So part of me wants to just be like resting in the comfort of like, I'm comfortable with these. I know these, like, I don't have to really think about it. But on the other hand, I can't just use that as an excuse. Like, I have to do what is best for my kids and what is I see would be the best fitting for what, just in the long run, building up year after year, what I think would be best. And so anyway, I'm praying about it. I hope you always pray, if you're a Christian, that you're praying about your decisions. And, it is something that maybe seems small, like curriculum, but, I think it is something important that God shows us, like wisdom and peace. So that is where I'm at right now. I will let you know, some of these seem a little bit more solid in our what we're going to do than others. I'm still up in the air about the others, but I will let you know in the next coming months what we will be doing. I just figured I would let you know kind of, again, what my thought process is, and not all YouTubers just like come in and we're all just like, okay, here's all of our curriculum and it was so easy, we just picked it out like it was nothing. Like, there's a lot of thought process that goes into every single subject for every single child. There is a lot of thoughts that go behind it and a lot of back and forth for most of us. And so just feeling like you're not alone, make sure you leave a comment. What curriculum are you either considering for next year, or you just absolutely love that some of us should consider? I kind of want this to be like an open discussion, just kind of like friends talking about what curriculum, like just as if we were in person talking about what curriculum we would enjoy. If you have not watched my video on what we are considering for next year for history and Bible and science, make sure you check out that video so that you can, if you're interested, so that you can kind of hear my thought process behind that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So for my second grader and my fourth grader, my second grader, I'll just say, shh. You okay?
Yeah.